I am 74 years old now. I have lived alone in this house for more than 20 years, since Mr. Henry passed away. The house is small, smells of old wood, of rancid oil, and the ticking of the clock. It is familiar. The oil lamp on the table is the only thing I keep most carefully in the house. My husband and I bought it when we first got married. It was cheap and durable. It still burns now, as long as I add more oil and change the wick. I light it every night, not because I am afraid of the dark, but because I am afraid he will get lost. I keep thinking, if the soul also has to see the light to find its way home, then at least he will know the way and miss home. People say I am superstitious. Maybe I am crazy. My daughter called and said, "Don't light it anymore, Mom. It's dangerous. There is electricity in the house." I just whispered, "The electric light is too bright. I can't see the way, son." At exactly 6 o'clock in the evening, I turned on the lamp. Not too early, not too late. I wrote a reminder right next to the calendar. 6 o'clock, light the lamp for him. The lamp lit up, a small, warm yellow light, casting a shadow on the wall. That's where he used to sit reading the newspaper, his voice grumbling but gentle. I still look at that place every night. "Have you eaten yet? Is it cold over there?" I said softly. Sometimes I thought I heard someone softly reply, like the sound of wind passing by, or the sound of the wooden floor creaking as if someone were walking lightly. I wasn't afraid. I just thought, he must have come back to see if I was still turning on the lamp. One night I forgot. It was raining heavily. The wind was strong, the electricity was out. I lay still, so tired, and then I fell asleep. In my dream I saw him standing on the porch. He was wet, cold, and said nothing. He just looked at me, then turned away. I jumped up, my heart pounding. It was almost dawn. I ran to the table and relit the lamp. The smoke stung my eyes, but I cried and laughed at the same time. From that day on, I dared not forget. I lit the lamp, not to light the room, but to light myself, to know that there was still someone I could not forget. That night was very cold. The wind kept blowing through the crack in the door, carrying the smell of damp earth after the rain. I had just finished lighting the lamp. The flame was still shaking in the wind. I closed the door, took the blanket over my shoulders, and sat down on the chair opposite the lamp as usual. On the table was a cup of cold tea. I poured some more hot water and said softly, "Sir, tonight is colder than usual. If you go home, remember to wear warm clothes." I said that, but in my heart I still thought I was talking to the air, but it was also a way to make the room less empty. Around 9 o'clock, I heard something fall on the porch, a soft but clear thud. I got up and opened the door. No one was there. There were only a few wet leaves stuck to the tiled floor, the wind blowing through and making the curtains flutter. I gently closed the door and went back in. As soon as I sat down, the lamp went out. I didn't have time to react. At first I thought I'd run out of oil, but it wasn't. The wick was still there, the oil was still full. It was just, the flame disappeared as if someone had blown it out. I shook my hand and lit the lighter again. The lamp didn't burn. I tried 3 times. No luck. I only saw smoke coming from the wick, thin and white. Then in the smoke, I saw the shape of a hand, not clear, just a glimpse, but enough to make me freeze. I reassured myself. "It's okay. It's probably the wind, Margaret. Don't think too much." I opened the window a crack to let the smoke go away, then sat down and breathed heavily. The house was silent. Only the ticking of the clock and the pounding of my heart could be heard. A moment later, I felt a chill down my spine, as if someone had just passed behind me. No footsteps, only a cold breeze blowing over my shoulder. I said softly, "Sir, is it you?" No one answered. But the lamp, which had failed to burn just now, suddenly lit up again. The flame flickered, illuminating the wedding photo hanging on the wall. The photo shook slightly, the frame tilted a little, then stopped. I sat still, not daring to breathe heavily. The light reflected on the glass made me see two shadows, one of me and one of someone sitting opposite. I didn't dare turn around. I just said softly, my voice trembling, "You're back. I still have the lamp on. Have you seen?" No answer, only the sound of the curtains moving slightly. Then the lamp lit up steadily again, as if it had never gone out. I sat still until morning, not sleeping, not daring to close my eyes, just looking at the lamp, small, yellow, and strangely obedient. The next morning I told Lila. She just smiled and said, "You're dreaming again." I didn't say anything more, because I knew, if it was a dream, why would the lamp still have a faint fingerprint on the lens? After the night the light went out and then came back on, I noticed that everything in the house was different. Not that it had changed much, just that things were a little off, small, but I noticed. The wooden chair he used to sit on, I remembered, was against the wall. The next morning, it was about a hand's breadth away. His old radio, which I usually kept in the cupboard, was suddenly wide open. I asked Lila, "Did you take the radio out?" She said, "I don't even know where it is, Grandma." I was silent. I didn't want to say more. That evening, I set the table as usual, pouring 2 cups of tea, one for me, one for him. I've been doing this for years. But this time, something was different. I went back to the kitchen to get a towel. When he came back, his teacup was no longer full. On the rim of the cup, there was a curved streak of water, as if someone had just put it down after drinking. I stood still for a long time. My hands were cold. Then I said softly, "Don't joke with me anymore. My heart is weak." No one answered. Only the oil lamp was still burning, the smoke drifting slowly, thinly, and evenly. From that day on, I began to hear the old sounds, the sound of the back door opening, the sound of a lighter, the familiar footsteps from the kitchen to the porch. Every time I heard it, I told myself, the cat must have run away. But there was no cat anymore. The last one I had buried last year. One night, I woke up in the middle of the night. The oil lamp light was still shining through the curtain. I heard a slight movement of the chair, then a cough, small, hoarse, the way he used to cough when he was alive. I asked softly, "Henry, is that really you?" No one answered. Only the clock ticked, tick, 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 as regular as breathing. In the morning, I cleared the table. I saw small yellow-brown cigarette butts on the table. He had quit smoking more than 10 years ago, but when he was alive, he often sat there smoking. I reached out to sweep the scraps away and saw a small scratch underneath, an arc, as if someone had carved it with a fingernail. I leaned closer and read the scribbled words. "Still here." I collapsed, my hands shaking uncontrollably. I was both scared and happy. Actually, I didn't know if I wanted to believe it or not. But in my heart, there was a part of me that felt lighter. I took a towel and gently wiped the table, saying and laughing, "If it's really you, then you can stay a little longer, but don't startle me like that." The oil lamp shook slightly. The fire flickered, then stood still. "I know," you heard. A few days later, little Lila came to visit. She was in her final year of high school and only came over on weekends. Every time she came back, she would joke with me. "Grandma, this house is like a museum. It's all old stuff, even the oil lamp." I just smiled, then replied, "Old things can tell stories, my dear. New things are very quiet." I made her a cup of cocoa, then lit the lamp as usual. The flame that day was strangely bright, more yellow than usual. Lila looked at me, squinting. "Why do you keep lighting the oil lamp? It smells bad. It's bad for your lungs." I slowly replied, "I lit it for you, so you know the way home." She chuckled, a half-believing, half-pitying laugh. "Do you miss him a lot?" I nodded. "Yes, it's been a long time, but she's not used to the silence." I didn't tell her about the night the lamp went out. I didn't say anything about the words "still here" on the table. I was afraid she would be scared, or worse, she would think her grandmother was crazy. That night I told Lila to stay over. She slept in the next room, and as usual I sat next to the lamp until late at night before going to bed. That night there was no wind, but the curtains were shaking slightly. Around midnight, I heard Lila's door open. The sound of tiny bare feet came out. Then her voice softly called, "Grandma?" I opened my eyes and saw her standing outside the door, her face pale. "What's wrong?" "Grandma, I heard someone coughing in the kitchen." I was silent. Then I asked again, "Coughing?" "Yes, I thought you were getting up to make tea, but I looked through the crack in the door. There was no one." I stood up and walked out to the kitchen with her. The oil lamp was still burning, its yellow light reflecting off the floor. There was no wind, no one. Only the wooden chair he often sat on was slightly turned towards the door. Lila saw it and said softly, "This chair, I saw it turn towards the table just now." I looked at her, then at the lamp. The flame swayed gently, the smoke rising into a faint curved line like a half-written letter. Lila gently squeezed my hand. "Grandma, have you ever—" I interrupted her, my voice low, almost whispering. "It's okay, honey. I'm sure he'll come back to see how much you've grown." She looked at me, her eyes starting to water. "I feel cold, but I'm not afraid." I smiled. "Yes, because that's someone who loves me." We sat together until dawn. For the first time, I didn't feel alone in this house. The lamp burned all night, never going out, and I swear, for a moment I saw his shadow pass by the window. I didn't know, just a familiar figure, but I knew he was really back. This year I turned 74. I didn't want to celebrate anything, but the kids forced me to. "You should be happy," they said. "I'm sure you want to see you smile." I just laughed it off. The kids set up a full table, cake, flowers, everything, but I secretly left an empty spot, the old wooden chair next to the oil lamp. I didn't let anyone sit there. "Why is this chair empty, Grandma?" Lila asked. I replied, "That chair is for you to sit on." She was quiet, not smiling like usual. Maybe because that night the lamp was brighter than usual. The firelight reflected on the wall, shimmering like real. The whole family ate and drank noisily, talking and laughing, taking pictures. But sometimes I saw someone turn their head to look at the empty spot next to me, then shook my head, whispered, "Strange. It seems like there's a shadow of a person." I didn't pay attention, just smiled, gently stroking the lamp cover. "You've been here for a long time. It's just that people didn't notice." While cutting the cake, Lila took the camera and took a picture. The flash flashed. Then she stood still, looking at the screen. Her face changed color. Look at this." In the photo, I was sitting next to the lamp. Right next to me, there was a blurry figure, as if tilting its head, looking at me. The face was unclear, only the line of the shoulder and the hand resting lightly on the chair. The whole house was silent. No one said anything. I could hear my heart pounding, but I wasn't afraid. I slowly said in a small voice, "See, you never left me." Lila cried. It held my hand, trembling. "Grandma, is there a chance that he is really still here?" I squeezed his hand. "If you believe, then yes. If you are afraid, then it is just the wind." After the party, everyone left early. Only Lila and I stayed to clean up. After washing the dishes, I returned to the table. The oil lamp had long since gone out. There was no wind, no one touched it. I walked over and relit it. The flame flickered, the smoke swirled up, then dispersed. In that moment, I clearly saw a figure standing outside the door, his back turned, as if leaving. I called softly, "Henry." The figure stopped, then faded into the night. The lamp was still burning, but I knew something was changing. That night, for the first time in many years, I felt at peace, not because I believe he is still alive, but because I believe the one you truly love will never be gone. The night after my birthday, the sky was as still as a sheet. No moon, no wind. I was still sitting in the same place. In front of the oil lamp, the teacup had long gone cold. The house was strangely quiet. Even the clock was quieter than usual. Lila had returned, leaving me alone. I sat there, watching the fire burn steadily, thinking about yesterday's photo. In the photo, the blurry figure next to me still haunted me. I looked for a long time, then softly said, "If it's really you, then come back one more time. I still have something to say." After I finished speaking, the room suddenly became windy. I don't know where it came from, even though all the doors were closed. The curtain shook violently. Papers on the table flew to the ground. The oil lamp flickered, then, poof, went out. My heart skipped a beat. I didn't have time to stand up. The whole house was plunged into total darkness. My hands trembled as I searched for the lighter, but it wouldn't light. Then I heard footsteps, not fast, not slow, step by step from the kitchen to the porch. "Henry," I called softly. The footsteps stopped. Then there was a slight cough, hoarse, tired, the way he had coughed in his later years. I said, my voice trembling, "Is it really you? Don't scare me." No one answered, only the sound of breathing very close, right behind me. I turned around. Nothing. But on the table, the oil lamp, lit up by itself. No one lit it. There was no wind. The flame lit up by itself, burned weakly, then grew stronger. The light shone on the wedding photo. In the photo, I swear I saw him, smiling. Not the smile in the photo, but a new smile, warm and real. I put down the lighter and sat down on the chair. Tears fell, and I didn't have time to wipe them away. "Are you really back?" I said, my voice choked. "I miss you so much." No one answered, but the wind stopped. The room gradually warmed up, as if someone had just covered me with a blanket. I looked at the lamp. The flame was still burning, but there was something different. Smoke rose, thicker than usual. I saw faint, trembling words appear in the smoke. Before I could finish reading, the smoke dissipated. I only had time to see the first two words. "Don't be afraid." I hiccuped softly and said softly, "I'm not afraid. But if you really are back, don't leave yet." Outside there was the sound of a window closing, as light as if someone had just left the room. The oil lamp was still burning, but strangely quiet. I sat there watching until dawn, unable to sleep. On the table beside the chimney was a small patch of ash twisted into the shape of a heart. That night, I didn't light the lamp, for the first time in decades. It wasn't that I forgot, but that I didn't want to anymore. After the night when the smoke wrote the two words, "Don't be afraid," I felt very different, as if he had said enough, as if he was at peace. I sat in the dark, without turning on the lights, without turning on anything. Only the dim light from the porch filtered through the crack in the door. I heard the crickets chirping, the wind whistling through the tin roof, and my own heartbeat. I thought about the years I had lived, about the times I sat waiting, the nights I lit the lamp until my eyes were blurry. I didn't know how many drops of oil had burned over time, but I knew my heart had also dried up like that. "Henry," I called softly, not hoping for an answer. "I won't turn on the light anymore. You found your way, right?" No sound, just a gentle warmth brushing over my shoulder, as if someone had just placed a hand on it. I closed my eyes. A stream of air passed by, carrying a familiar smell, the smell of the soap he used. I smiled. "You're back." In the darkness, I clearly heard the wooden chair move slightly. Then the radio turned on. Click. Music played, an old song the couple used to listen to. A deep male voice sang in Old English, "When I fall in love, it will be forever." I didn't open my eyes. No need. I was afraid that if I opened them, he would disappear. "It's been a long time since I heard this song," I said softly. "Thank you." The wind blew strangely warm. I heard his voice, not very clearly, as if from afar. "Go to sleep, Margaret. I'm still here." My tears flowed, but my heart was at peace. For the first time, I felt so light. I don't know how long I sat there. When I woke up, it was already morning. The room was softly lit, the oil lamp still lying on the table. The chimney had a thin layer of ash covering it lightly inside, as if it were mist. I walked over and looked closely. In the middle of the smoke, there was a small curved line of words, as if someone had written it with their finger. "You're back." I sat down, my hand trembling as I placed it on the lens. "Yes, I saw it, sir. You're back." Then I smiled. No crying, no fear, no calling for anything more. I just sat there, in the room without any lights, and let the early morning wind come in, taking everything away. I don't remember exactly when I fell asleep. I only remember that night. The wind stopped blowing, the oil lamp burned quietly, and his voice still echoed somewhere in the dark room. I opened my eyes when the first light crept through the crack in the door. The morning was quiet. The smell of cold tea lingered around the table, and the sparrow on the porch chirped softly, as if it was also afraid of disturbing someone's sleep. The lamp on the table was off. The chimney was covered in a layer of mist. I sat up, my hand trembling as I touched it. When my finger touched the glass, the ashes in the chimney shook slightly. Then a line of words appeared, as faint as smoke. "I'm home, Grandma." I looked for a long time. I didn't dare blink, for fear that if I blinked, the words would disappear. Tears welled up in my eyes, running down both cheeks, but it was no longer stinging, no longer painful like before. I chuckled. "You're really back. Don't go this time." Outside, the wind blew gently, carrying with it the familiar scent of soap. I hadn't smelled that scent for decades. I closed my eyes and smiled. "Thank you for coming back." I heard the sound of a wooden chair creaking and felt someone sitting down next to me. Then a hand gently touched mine, so warm and real that I didn't dare breathe too hard. I said softly, almost under my breath, "Henry, you know, I've been waiting for a long time." There was no answer, only the sound of my heart blending with the ticking of the clock, strangely even and quiet. I looked around the room again, the wedding photo, the chair, the teacup, and the oil lamp, the thing that had kept me in this world for decades. "You don't need to light it anymore, sir." I leaned my head gently against the wall, still holding the chimney tightly. The room began to lighten. The morning sunlight spread across the table, shining through the curtains. I saw in that light 2 figures, one old, one young, sitting side by side, and between them the oil lamp still cast a thin halo. I breathed softly and said the last sentence in a very low voice. "I see, Henry. You're really back. Then you can rest now." Then I closed my eyes, letting the last light of that morning take us both away.